Hey everybody, Joe the Lawyer here. Welcome to another episode of Analog Man Cave. Been a minute. It's been a minute. Before we start going here, I want to try to get into Facebook because I know from what I understand, Facebook. Whenever I go live on Facebook, I have to actually go turn myself on. It's so weird. So in other words, it's like it's showing live in Facebook right now, but I need to actually turn it on to actually go live with it. So that's just kind of a strange thing. So let me see if I can do that. Here we going. It's giving me the audio. Holy shit. Um, yeah, so I have to actually figure out who I am showing this to on Facebook. That's the thing. There's a way to do that, I guess. There's a way to say have audience, not just me, myself, and I, but everybody else. So that's what I'm gonna try to do here. Yeah, Facebook, by the way, live streaming on Facebook cannot be more complicated. The only thing more complicated than live streaming on Facebook is the fucking Dark Tower itself. I think honestly, that that's pretty much it. The maps in the Dark Tower are the only thing more complicated than going live on Facebook. So let me see here. I am live. It says I'm broadcasting, but I have no idea who is actually listening. Let's see, more like this. Sorry, guys. Let me just figure this shit out. It's so fucking confusing. They make everything difficult here. They really do. Let's see. Stream viewers. Allow viewers to message me. Why not? Stream. Who is it going to? I can't tell. I cannot tell who's viewing this goddamn thing right now. My review, blah blah blah. Dashboard. Maybe the dashboard has it. Maybe on the dashboard I can figure out how the hell to make this thing viewed by more than just me. No, why would that be? Why would the dashboard have anything like that? Holy crap! What a confusing goddamn fucking mess Facebook is. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you very much for making my life more difficult. Holy crap, man. Um, Maybe this is it. All right, I got to go to my channel, and then I got to go to edit audience, and I have to say not only me, but public. Anybody on or off Facebook. All right, now it's on Facebook. Holy shit, moly. Okay, now I could now just fucking ignore the Facebook part. All right, I'm here. Thank you all for tolerating that nonsense. Appreciate it. I am using Restream. Yeah, yeah. All right, so here we are. Howdy, Shadow and Sun. What's up? Death Angels, what's going on? Star Blazer, what up, buddy? Using Restream, yes, I am. In the house, checking the cut of jib. All right, all right. Vanishing. Facebook melts my face. It's so complicated. Why does it have to be so fucking complicated? How do you get Encyclopedia Magic to stand up straight behind you? Oh, they're on bookshelves. Um, so yeah, they're on a shelf there, so it's just tight. There's no way it's not going to stand. I got the real problem. I don't know if you can see this. There's so much fucking weight on these shelves. I don't know. You can't really see it that well, but there's like a fucking bow. Someday I'm going to be doing a show, and the whole thing is just going to collapse. But thankfully, there's more books under it, so even if it collapses, the other books will hold it up. Please do like and share the video. Hark what light through yonder window breaks. I do live, Teresa. Yes, yes, I do. And thank you all for bringing it. I just had a lot of shit going on this week. Got a little bit of a cold I'm getting over, and just tired. And every once in a while, I need a break. I can only grind so much. You got to step back, take a break, and all that stuff. So, family shit. I needed a little bit of time off. So, but I am here. I am here. I did not want to disappoint because I did promise every Sunday we'd do a live stream. And I did promise you guys the Dark Tower. So, this thing has been melting my brain as I'm trying to read it and get up to speed for the last couple of days. But it's not an easy module. It's not an easy fucking adventure module, to say the least. Right now, we got 13 people watching and 0 from Facebook. So all that work on Facebook gave me no viewers. Are the soft cover? Mike can't do that without ruining the covers. This is, oh yeah, they're soft cover. Yep, but they're so tight. They're so tightly packed together that it's not a big deal. I mean, it does have the little extra at the bottom there. So but so far so good. I mean, plus I got them used anyway. Still, they ain't cheap. I can tell you that much. I got to blame and thank Tim Shorts for this because as a gift, I told him I'd wanted these things. I never owned them. So he gave me the wizard compendiums, the 4 of them, I think, or 3 or 4 of them. And so me being a completionist, he knew what the hell he was doing. He was forcing me to make a saving throw against be a completionist, and I couldn't. I failed it. So I ended up having to buy the priest ones and the Encyclopedia Magic ones. It set me back hundreds of dollars because of his gift. So he's laughing his ass off all the way to as my bank depletes itself. I could see the light through the window, not the window itself, just the light. Yeah, I got the light going over here. Yeah. So I got, there you go, a little workbench, my little workstation over there. Yeah. Lots of light going. Yep. Listen to Bong Wizard and chill, baby. Bong Wizard. I'm not stoned today. Hey, Chad, I do have my coffee with a nip of Bailey's in my special cup here, Tears of My Player's Cup. So yeah. So yeah, it's funny because in order for you guys to read what I have holding up, I had to switch the mirror. I'm pointing to my right, but it's showing the left on the screen. That's the only way to show this shit, though. So yeah. But let's see. Those has covers and require me to lay them flat. Okay. So below, dark cover seems like one of those modules I put in my. I know what would be perfect for this files. Stuff I have read, which I do not know what to do with at the moment. Yeah. Well, those absolute must for a proper DM. Yeah, I agree. You know what's really cool about these actually is the Encyclopedia Magica. Is this is the coolest one. I mean, I like them all for various reasons, but what I liked about the Encyclopedia Magica is that there are so many different types of items. They're not just it's like pennants and flags and all these weird things, barrels. Magical barrels. I mean, I'm just looking at magical brooches, right? It's just so many, coins, ropes, caps. They break them out by the type of thing it is. So if you just want, like I did the other day in the game, there was supposed to be some sort of a brooch or something like that, and or a medallion. So I'm like, the medallion they gave, I was running, it was like kind of lame and bullshit. So I said, I looked in the medallion section of these books and I pulled out, there was like 24. So I had Tim roll a D24, right? And so he came up with some random ass medallion for the game that just, popped up. That's what I like about it. It lacks in tables though. I can tell you that. You have to I had to count 24 things and then roll a D24, So yeah. Yeah. The artifact section is off the hook. You're right. So yeah. So I just sort of catch up with you all. We got a YouTube. We got a Facebook viewer. All right, look at that. It actually worked. So shit, man. Now I tried to stream it to Twitter, but you have to subscribe to Twitter or something like that. There's various subscription models, and one of them includes Grok. Oh, I wanted to show this with you guys. This is kind of funny. I was fucking around with Grok. I did a little Grok versus ChatGPT comparison, and Grok wins by far. Is so cool. I actually had to look me up, just tell me about myself, Joe the Lawyer, YouTuber. And I figured I'd read this shit to you because it was weirdly dead on. It had me laughing at the description. So let's see. So I said, who's Joe the Lawyer, the YouTuber? Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. I'm playing D. It took a lot from my intro to my YouTube channel. And it's interestingly enough, it says based likely in New Jersey, suggested by some social media activity, which is interesting because none of my public social media activity has anything about Jersey in it. But I am from Jersey originally, and I have a Jersey accent. So that was interesting. And it says, my content reflects a down-to-earth, no-nonsense personality shaped by years of gaming and life experience. Fair to say. Okay. Let's see. And so my channel on YouTube is modest size with a niche, but a dedicated audience. Talking about you guys. Think hundreds to low thousands per views of video rather than mainstream millions. My subscriber count isn't massive, likely in the low thousands, aligning with his focus on a specific subculture within the broader D&D community. OSR enthusiasts and players who appreciate raw, unfiltered takes on the game. Sum me up, I think, Now, my content style and themes. This is cool. It says Joe's videos are controversial and unpolished, often filmed in casual settings like his home or his brother's backyard. His flagship series, Joe and Bro Fire Pit Show. It only says his flagship, I think, because I put that in my I was doing a lot of those back then. I put that in my about, featured him and his brother Mike sitting around a fire pit, drinking beers and occasionally indulging in semi-legal things. Yes. And riffing on their D&D games. They are loose, sometimes incoherent, and deliberately unscripted. Think of it as a boozy podcast with a camera. It's true. Topics range from campaign recaps to rules debates, often punctuated by tangents about their dog Roscoe, aka Squirrelbane, or random life anecdotes. Yeah, my brother has a dog named Roscoe, and he kills everything in sight. He's a little 30 or 40-pound dog, but yeah, this hunting gene in him, and he protects the house against. He's killed beavers and squirrels, and he's caught a rabbit. I mean, a darting rabbit. And this little bastard caught a rabbit. It's insane. Possum, I think he nailed once. Yeah, just go out there as a random dead body in the yard, and Roscoe took a piss and killed something. So yeah, he sits out there at nighttime and guards us against all hostile threats, rabbits or possums or beavers that might wander by when we're doing this thing. He's on the hunt and the prowl always. So yeah, that's Roscoe. We'll have to do once it gets warmer. It's coming up now. We're getting into the 50s and 60s in Connecticut weather, so we're going to get more fire pit shows coming up, guys. So let's see. It talks about what I do and, recaps and reviews and Penix End project, which I did talk about wanting to do at some point. And it says, it basically says, I'm, eventually want to do it. You guys are waiting for it. My presentation is do it yourself, minimal editing, basic camera work, and a focus on content over flash. Yep. My humor is dry and irreverent, and I'm not afraid to call out modern D&D trends he finds questionable, all while championing the chaotic freedom of early editions. I mean, this fucking Grok is something else, man. Occasionally team up with other people like Daniel from Bandits Keep and blah, blah, blah. And talk about my old podcast I had. Let's see. I'm on. It says, listeners can support me via Spotify's creator platform, though it's unclear how much traction this garners. This podcast reinforces Joe's persona as a raconteur who'd rather crack a beer and argue about succubi than polish a script. Yeah. Succubi. I mean, boobs and, yeah. Okay. I have a analog man cave brand. Yep. And it says, I am not a polished influencer. My hosts are sporadic, and he's more about community than clout. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Personality and philosophy. Persona and philosophy. Joe is an outlier in the D&D YouTube scene. Unlike polished creators like Critical Role or tutorial-heavy channels like Dungeon Douches, I call him, he's a throwback. I am a throwback, everybody. I am a guy who would fit right in at a 1980s gaming table, chain smoking and rolling dice on a pizza-stained mat. His OSR leanings emphasize player agency, lethal takes, and minimal rules over the safety net of modern D&D. Yes, the pussy style. Yet his willingness to run 5e shows pragmatism. He's not a purist gatekeeper. Take that, all you assholes who say I'm a gatekeeper. Just a dude who loves the game in all its messy forms. He's critical of what he sees as overcomplicated mechanics, e.g., I dump wisdom stats, and corporate sanitization of D&D, but he's not a ranting contrarian. Haha. His videos and podcasts are more like barstool debates, passionate, unfiltered, and occasionally sloppy, but always authentic. I mean, Grok nailed me. Jesus Christ. Audience and impact. I am not a household name in D&D circles. I will add that caveat yet. I will get 1 trillion subscribers here with all your help. Share, like, subscribe, all this shit, guys. It helps me. But it says, my audience is a niche of OSR fans, grognards, and players who vibe with my blue collar, yes, or non-collar, retro aesthetic. He's not chasing trends or algorithms. His growth is slow but organic, fueled by word of mouth and tight-knit communities like N-World or MeWe groups. Fuck N-World. His influence lies in preserving the spirit of early D&D, offering a counterpoint to the polished, narrative-heavy streams dominating today. Then it has a little bit on fun tidbits. Roscoe the dog he talks about. Final thoughts. Joe the Lawyer is a love letter to D&D's rough-edged past, delivered with a smirk and a cold one. Cold beer, in other words. He's not for everyone. His ramblings can be an acquired taste, and his production values won't win awards. But for those who crave unvarnished RPG talk from a guy who's seen it all, he's a gem. I am a gem, according to Grok, everybody. I am a fucking gem. All right? Think of him as your crusty uncle, which really that's what I am. I don't have kids. I'm the crusty uncle who's still got the best stories at the table. If you're into OSR or just want to break from slick D&D content, give his channel a spin. Just don't expect him to stay sober or on topic. It was fucking great. That was the greatest review of me ever. I saved it. I was like, this is, I mean, Jesus knows me better than I know myself. It was fucking fantastic. Yeah. So that was it, man. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. I thoroughly fucking enjoyed that. Thoroughly. The Goodman Games books are pretty hefty. Yes. Yep. All right. Let's see. Yeah, our collections will never be complete. You just got to get what you can. Nervous laughter on here in YouTube subculture. God, imagine a DM that only has Shadow Dark, Mouse, Ritter, and Index Card RPG. Now imagine a shotgun playing a 5e. I can imagine. Controversial. You're all controversial, I guess. Yeah. Let's see. Greetings. Dungeon douches. Yeah, that's what they are. I can't stand those two guys. They're so fucking phony. They are so phony. They come across as people who, their high-pitched, whiny-ass voices and overall bitchiness, their attitude, they just come across as people who are so petrified to offend. They are obsequiously like pussified. You know what I mean? Like they're so earnestly, obsequiously like, I don't want to offend anybody ever. Well, let me say it just this way. Okay. It's like that. That's their vibe, you know? Yeah. A gem encrusted uncle. Gem encrusted. I'm a gem and I'm a crusty uncle. I'll take the gem encrusted. I think we pull the crust and gems out of me and we fucking retire. So yeah. So I thought that was pretty fucking funny though, guys. That was interesting. Grok on me, you know. So that was kind of funny. Anyway, without further ado, we're here to talk about the Dark Tower. We got 19 people, one on Facebook and 18 y'all on YouTube here. So I figured let's get it rolling. All right. So Dark Tower is something. It's in rereading it. I never ran it. I played in it once. The guy Sean Sanford back in the Flail Snails days. Flail Snails is when you just could take a character and jump into anybody's campaign with the same character on Google Plus. It was really fun. So we would I had Sir the Fist of Uther going back then, and he died a couple. I think he died twice in a Dark Tower. It was a fucking shit show of a dungeon. Got reincarnated as different races. Thank God he didn't come back as a beaver. I came back as like a hobgoblin or something like that. It was not bad, you know. It wasn't bad. So we went through that, and it was strange. I mean, it was a strange place. I didn't understand it. I knew it had all kinds of great critiques and this and that. It made the top 30 dungeons, the only non-Wizards of the Coast or non-TSR thing, made its top 30 modules, adventures of all time and all that. So I'm like, you know, it's all right. We'll just give it a shot and read through it. And it's like so confusing. So without further ado, should we get into it here? So first thing I'll show you guys is this. This is massive. It's like goddamn 11 by like 17 or something. It's the Judges Guild Volume 2 Deluxe Collector's Edition. I got Volume 1 over there about all the Judges Guild stuff. This is all about Janelle Jaquays' stuff. Slip case here, and there's the actual fucking book. I think I just dropped a nut. But it's kind of cool, even all the stuff. And there's a section on the Dark Tower here, which I can pull up. But I don't know how much I'm going to be able to show you this stuff. But let me see if I can here. It's very strange, but there has basically a whole reprint of the module, like that. 2 pages, you know, like this. So it's like, I got to go to the gym again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is a serious thing. But what was of note on here? The one thing that I thought was interesting was this. It's a letter that Janelle wrote back in the day to Bledsoe about progress being made. So anybody wants to screenshot the shit out of that, because this book costs like 175 or 200 bucks. So you can screenshot that. You can all read it. Again, Janelle was then called Paul, in case there's any confusion. I'm going to refer to him as Janelle because that's what they wanted. Not getting into all the politics around it. Just, you know, she's dead. I'm going to call her whatever she wanted to be called when she was alive. All right. So I'll read it here to you guys. Oh, all right. Dear Bob, I hope things are progressing well down there. I am a bit bogged up here, but not hopelessly so. You may be wondering what I'm doing up here, so am I. Listed below is what I have going at the moment, and will ship to you hopefully by the middle of next week. This is dated, looks like 10/27/78, and Dark Tower came out in 79. Dark Tower, Dungeon Adventure Module, 6 full-page maps and tower maps, 2 color cover, 1 typeset, 2 color back page with teaser paragraph, 1 typeset, 2 color dungeon cross-section, 3 colors a page, plus, I can't read that, something page, all typeset, Judges Guild logo, 5 2-color illustrations of various sizes, 4 to 5 1-color illustrations, 60 plus pages of handwritten dungeon key. I am going to type it. 130 something dungeon, bad, worse handwriting, not as bad as me, but not clear. 2 towers to something keying yet, to finish keying yet. Parts of various sizes of dungeon logo. All right, 4 1/4 page traveler illustrated. Oh, so this now we're getting into something else. Then you get into the traveler thing they were doing. I did not expect the Dark Tower to be the tour de force it has ended up as. I may have to go the larger page format. By the way, it's very, very powerful, intended for groups of medium high level characters who hopefully will discover an artifact or two before going too deep. I have to type the whole thing up this next week, plus finish a couple 2 or 3 drawings. I will also try to include a short biography for Chuck to use as he sees fit, maybe even the portraits of my second Mark Hendricks. These can be posted on your needs. I like to sink my teeth into the unknown gods drawings and gets into other things there. So that's what she wrote on the Dark Tower, sort of a letter. The rest of it, everything in here is just a reprint of the Dark Tower. So, all right. And then we have, of course, now Dark Tower came out as, this. I don't have the original, so I just had a PDF. I printed it up, 60-some pages long. But as you all know, came out with this, too, the Goodman Games reincarnated version. This is number 7, is a Dark Tower, 3 volumes. First one is the original, volume 1 there, the original one. This is the 5e version, and this over here, volume 3, is a new printing. All right, it's a new adventure that sort of follows along the path of what happened at the end of the Dark Tower, because in the end, it wasn't really like this heroic, satisfying ending. It's more of like, you destroy the big bad guy and shit happens and things blow up and, undead are destroyed and yada yada. But that's what you're getting in here. But what's interesting, though, is all the original, some people talked about the Dark Tower and its mark that it made in this first book, or some essays and whatnot. And so you have Justin Alexander wrote a bit about Jaquain the dungeons. Now, there has been some controversy with Alexander, and I think he's an asshole because of what he did. I don't quite know which one came first. It should have been, he said Jaquazing, and she wanted it to be called Jaquang, or he said Jaquang, she wanted it to be called Jaquazing, and here it says Jaquang, the dungeon. But then instead of just changing the way that she wanted it to be said, he just says he called it Xandering the dungeon, taking credit for it, putting his own name stamp on the goddamn thing that basically he says that she's known for. And so he put out that fucking book, which I have over there, which I'm sad I even bought, because I got it before I knew this whole controversy with him. But he called it Xandering the Dungeon. It's, what a douche. What a fucking douche. It gets into different things about getting into the Jaquays techniques, multiple entrances, loops, multiple level connections, discontinuous level connections, secret and unusual paths, different sizes, beware structures in a dungeon, landmarks, and just basically, here's the one. Then he does one good solid for everybody. This maps are so fucking confusing. He does like where things connect. All right, so that was kind of helpful. If you're gonna run this thing, you should actually have that handy. So yeah, and then we had somebody who nominated Dark Tower to the top 30 dungeons of all time, John Ratecliffe. Let's see, we have some Dark Tower expansions. I think Mazalewski put something in here, Eric Mona put something in here, all talking about the glory of the Dark Tower. And then, like I said, you got the reprint in here. So that's kind of nice, little bit of history. That's the best thing about these, honestly, these books, because you're never going to use them, and you have to and most of them don't come in PDFs, right? So that's the problem. So you're not going to use them as written here. You want to photocopy them or something. But one thing they did come with, though, was kind of a nice map, even though it's in the Goodman Games style, which I don't like at all. I don't like their weird style of maps, outdoor maps, and even interior stuff and art. That's one thing I don't like. They had a pre-gen booklet for all the 5e versions of it and all that, which I thought was kind of nice too. So that was all right. Anyway, so that's sort of the overview here. It came out in like 1979. Jaquays put it out there and became really it was not, I think White Wolf praised it back in the day, and it's just a good adventure because it broke the mold. Oh, I got something else here, a little bit of a art card or something. It broke the mold. Everybody was doing basic bullshit dungeons, and this thing changed everything in terms of the way dungeons were laid out. It, you know, they didn't understand the Jaquaysing the dungeon or Jaquaying the dungeon, but that was what was revolutionary about it. And I thought it was it's pretty good in that regard. It is pretty good in that regard. So just sort of going over it, because I laid out the history about it. It's all Jaquays did pretty much everything in it. The font is, well, I had to put my glasses on. That's how you know it's an old school dungeon, when you got to put your fucking glasses on to read the things. So yeah, if the font was a little smaller, I would have liked, but you know, back in the day, we all had better eyes, right? Layout and organization were a fucking nightmare. A fucking nightmare. Because if you look at, and I might as well just show you here, I might as well share my screen. Let's see. I'm still new at this. There we go. All right, I'm going to share this. All right, I guess I'm down on the bottom here. Put myself up. Fuck. Damn it. I guess I can't really move myself, can I? Anyway, sharing the screen here. You can see me in the bottom if you want. Maybe I could customize. Maybe we could put my position. Oh, I can. I could put myself in the top left or in the middle here. Yeah, I'll put myself in the middle here. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, I can make myself different sizes too. Smaller. I can make myself round. Look at that. All right, cool. Anyway, oh, I make myself bigger. Oh, that's neat. All right, all right. This is, I gotta say, this is kind of all right. This is kind of all right. No, you can make the sides rounded. Anyway, I'm just fucking with it. Anyway, so this, if you're looking at this, this module here, the first thing you'll notice about in terms of the maps is that it's just a shit show of complication that I don't think is necessary. So you got dungeon levels and you got the towers. It goes to the history of it. There were one tower because Mitra beat Set. Here's a little bit of the history in the background. I guess I should go over. Mitra beat Set, and Set became a god. Mitra thrived. They had a tower, this and that. 1,000 years later or something, a tower of Set appears. Boom, crushed the village. And then everybody fought forever. And then a landslide covered everything. And so here you are. So now these two towers are covered under a landslide. All right, so that's what's going on here. It does not explain why there are dungeon levels, because the towers have levels A through F and then G through L. Mithras tower is A through F and Set's tower is G through L. A through F down on the left, G through L up on the right, down on the right, up on the left. I mean, the whole thing is just weird. Oh, actually, let me get my big ugly mouse on there so that you guys could see what I'm pointing at with my mouse. Change your mouse pointer size. I'm going to make it big and red. All right, there you go. So at least you can't see the mouse there, but you see the pointer. So yeah, it goes down this way and then up that way. It's just fucking weird. And then you got dungeon levels. There's no understanding in the book about where did the dungeons come from. I understand you bury the towers, but when the towers were buried, the dungeons didn't exist. Who built them and where the hell did they come from? I have no fucking idea. It's so goddamn confusing. I didn't understand that at all. I still don't really. It didn't. They never explained it, right? So the layout and the organization, was shitty. The clarity and usefulness of these maps not usable. BTT applicability, obviously, 1979, no such things. Handouts, no, there weren't any. Did the writing suck you in? Was it descriptive and set up an atmosphere? Yeah, I guess, because they give a lot of the history and background. Horror and suspense. Yeah, there's a creepy ass village in there where everybody's living forever and they're all basically followers of Set. And so yeah, that creepy ass village. That's you know, that's interesting. Tension, not really. There, if you played the factions, there might be some tension. There's some factions in there, but not so much. Sensitive fantastic. If by fantastic you say shit that doesn't make sense, yes, that's fantastic, because it goes back to, why would somebody put a 9th level stasis field on something that means nothing? Why would you waste it? It does, you know, little things like that. Like the investment in magic resources to create certain things in this place are astronomical, because there should be a magical economy too. It's just astronomical. So you know, the investment of resources and all that, it didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me how much they would have had to invest in doing this. I remember reading Dwimmermount, Mazelewski's thing, and there was a room in there. It was like the front entrance room, the shoe where you put your shoes and hang up your coats or whatever. And it had a thing where nothing ages in there. Why the hell would anybody invest a 9th level spell to make something like that permanent, a wish spell or something along those lines, and age yourself a year to make something permanent, in order just to make sure your shoes don't fucking age? It made no sense. There's a lot of that in here, you know, a lot of that in here. So is it derivative, or is it something a GM could create in a few hours? Hell no, it's not derivative. And nor could you create this in a few hours. A lot of work went into this. Pacing and balance, there's no balance. And one minute you're fighting kobolds, the next minute you're fighting a fucking 21st level cleric lich. So yeah, there's no balance whatsoever. Even though they do say middle, as you read there, as I read, medium to high level, there's no fucking balance. Length and structure, how long would it take? Fucking 6 months, probably. You know, this is not a one shot. You're going back and forth, healing and resting. And I'm sure you're going to die and have to roll up new characters. Obviously breakpoints for multiple sessions. No, you just gotta, like, you know, there's no obvious breakpoints. You just have to, like, I'm down on spells and hit points, I need to go rest. That's all it is. Then you jump back in and kill more shit and take more stuff, you know. In terms of replayability and scalability, can you replay it? Can you reskin it? No, this is a fucking thing. This is unique. You can't fuck with this. It is what it is, and there's not much you could do other than play it as it is, I don't think. GM and player skill level. GM level high. This is complicated. Like, I'd be challenged to run this thing well now. After 40 years of playing D&D and running D&D games, I would feel challenged to run this thing. In terms of player skill level, it's a death trap, man. You know, you walk in a room and you could die instantly so many fucking times. GM support. Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of support at the beginning as to the story of this and what it all, you know, I'll go over that in a little bit. There's a lot of support in the beginning, but the story of this, where it came from, the dungeon, how to set up, you know, the minions of the Lions of Mithras and the minions of Set or whatever. There's a lot of support then. But after that, you're just left on your own to try to figure this thing out. There's no overall... There's a story of how the dungeon came about, how this whole thing came about, but there's no story or layout given for you as a GM as to what is going on now, big picture wise, within here. They allude to it, you know, that there's factions and whatnot, but they don't lay out at the beginning any of it, like how to run them, how to do them, how to use them, how to play one off against each other, you know, potential ideas. There's not even a list of all the various factions anywhere. There's not a list of the story of the dungeon. There's no sense of the ecology of this dungeon either. There's no sense of why this thing exists like it does, how it makes sense or doesn't, because it doesn't make sense. As I said before about all these dungeon levels, they just don't make any goddamn sense. Why would they even exist? So, yeah, it's a shit show. So there's no guidance on how to run it. There's guidance on where it came from. There's no tools or tables to help you prep or anything like that. In fact, it says you want to maybe prep random encounters ahead of time just to save yourself time later. But you know, just give me the random encounters. Give me the breakout. Make it easier for me, man. Yeah, and so ease the conversion of ETT. Nah, it'd be a shit show. It'd be a fucking shit show. So yeah. So that's pretty much it where it starts. Guys, I'm going to get up for a second. I got to turn the goddamn heat off. It was freezing when I woke up this morning. I turned it on. Now I'm dying in here. Maybe because I'm talking. I had all this energy going on. So let me turn the heat off. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. Okay. All right, we're back. All right, so that's the first sort of preview. still want to draw something for your game. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'm so far. I'm a couple of years out from maybe being able to have somebody, do that. So learn us something. Make sure you like and subscribe. Amen. Amen. I just won volume last week. Damn, that wouldn't fit on my bookshelves. No, that big ass thing doesn't. Volume 2 was $300 to $500. I got it on the Kickstarter, so I got it, as a decent deal. Don't throw your back out with the book. No shit. Just respect and common courtesy. That is a tome. Yeah. I got the other one back there too. There's laying down here, as you can maybe see it back there. It's just laying. That's why laying down. Uses a wooden shield. The kobolds get restless. The players asked to use that book as a melee weapon. I roll a d4 for damage. Yeah, looks like it has value. Wait till it goes on sale somewhere. Yeah, I got the book too, but I believe it was his publisher who told him, talking about changing it for legal reasons. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Let's see. Yeah, need glasses once you get starting getting crusty. Amen. I was part of Kickstarter for Dark Tower, so I think the PDFs are part of the tier I went in on. Okay. I know the earlier Goodman books, the first 5 or 6, did not have PDFs. So, yeah, there's no PDFs in there whatsoever. All right, so let's get into the, I guess, the meat of it, the story of it. I mean, interesting art, I guess. I don't know who the hell drew it. Maybe Janelle. I'm not sure. But getting down again. So it goes into some interesting shit here at the beginning, I thought. Just reading through it. So what you're looking at here is, I think I told you a story of the dungeon already, but, a little bit at least. But you talk about here, and I'm going to be sort of going through my notes here as I show you the screen up there. It's for AD&D, all right? So it's for TSR's new Advanced Dungeons & Dragons game, all right? So that's interesting. And then we have designer comments, which I thought are kind of really helpful here. So you need fairly high level characters. You're talking 6 to 10 characters of 7th to 11th level. Should have more than a little difficult to make it all the way to the top of the Dark Tower itself. Yeah. Even that is hard. It's a goddamn hard adventure, and you're finishing up with a 21st level lich. By the way, spoiler alert. I like this, where it says legends, truths, and half truths should be available from a few sources, including other temples of Saturn, Mitra, and all that stuff. That was kind of good. All right, so, yeah, and then the understatement of the year is over here. You probably will not be able to sit and play the Dark Tower in one sitting. You think? I mean, that's not even, there's no probably about it. This is an impossible thing. One sitting, if you never get up for like 3 weeks, yeah, then you can do it in one sitting if you never get up from the sitting, yeah. Yep, so we still got what we got, 19 here still. Not bad. All right, and 1 on Facebook. All right, cool. All right, so more. Let's see. This is kind of interesting. Here's footnotes, just little tips and things. As a reduction spell, reverse of enlarge. As an offensive spell, I find it quite powerful against ironclad fighters. In other words, you do it the reverse of enlarge, shrink, and you shrink armor and you cause damage. You have to take it off. I never really thought about that. That's a great goddamn idea, though. I'm going to use that forever. I thought that was kind of helpful and interesting. You get the map of the area here, which again was put out a little bit better by these guys because Goodman, put out a better. Yeah, so that's this. All right, so so you're looking at that screen now. Let me show you this screen. See, much better map. So they did a better job on this map. I'll give them that. All right, so not a bad one, for the outdoor thing. Now, it's interesting because what they do going forward. So you have a battle between the people of Set versus the people of Mitra in here, and they gave the clerics of Set and Mitra different abilities, which I thought was kind of neat. Let me make this a little bigger if I can. Can I? Where's the hell is the fucking enlarge of this thing? There you go. All right, a little bit better. All right, so I guess I should shrink myself now. So complicated. All right, I'm going to shrink this a smidge. All right, so they say the clerics is Set, a Mitra rather, +1 to all their attacks and defenses against anything by, that's the creatures of Set. All right, but the clerics of Set, they don't get the attacks and defense stuff. They get extra special abilities related to snakes, which I thought was kind of cool and gave a little bit of flavor. That was fun. You're going to get certain artifacts Soul gems, each, so there's like 3 gems. There's one for law, one for chaos, and one for neutrality. The whole purpose of the neutrality one is to destroy the other 2. That neutrality disappears. And so that if you have one, if you find one, basically you touch it, it goes into your head. You have to survive an alignment shock, and if you don't, you're all fucked. But if you do, then your screws, it goes right into your fucking forehead, embeds itself into the head of the victim. And it has like a will too. And so you have, basically, if you try to take it out, it's like you're going to probably fucking die essentially. Yeah. And Soul of Chaos, and then there's the one of Balance, and they have all the different abilities that you're going to get. And so these are found throughout the place, which is kind of neat. I thought that was kind of neat. Let's see here. So none of these are, there's not a cursed ring per se. Like, look at the one for Balance. It's essentially you are powering it by, the other ones are, you're powering this one by Balance by giving it golden gems, and then once you give it golden gems, it basically gets more hit points for you, the wearer. Now, once healing is begun, roll a d8 times 200 GP to determine how much extra this greedy gem will absorb if available. So it's like the gem is like acting on its own to like suck the wealth of the group, which is a group fuck you, which is kind of cool and bad all at the same time, you know. I was never in favor of a lot of traps and cursed items, you know. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me to fuck the group over like that. I generally don't have any cursed items, not full blown curse. I have magic items with consequences. This is a magic item with consequences, not a cursed one, like a girdle of sex change, for example. Imagine how that would go over today, by the way, boys and girls. A girdle of forcing somebody's sex to change. Oh, God. Okay, they are available for download. Okay, so I probably got them somewhere. Yeah, Dark Tower is Egyptian, Middle Eastern themed. Yep, definitely is. Definitely is. All right. So then we got the amulets. So the Lions of Mitra. There's 3 magic items for the Lions of Mitra. There's a ring, there's a belt, and what the hell's the other one? An eye. So it's an amulet. So you got so the belt, and then it talks about what the Lions of Mitra are. Each of these things are joined with a spirit of a Lion of Mitra. The Lions of Mitra are like high-level beings who are Mitra's favored people in the past. Like this one was a high priest 800 years ago. They talk about the personality and this and that. And so then you're like, what the hell is a Lion of Mitra? A Lion of Mitra, temporary physical reincarnations of paladins and clerics who died in the service of Mitra. And so each of these gems has somebody who's basically a priest or a cleric in the past of Mitra who's sort of allied with it. And then you could summon them or they appear in the right circumstance. Okay. Now, one thing they did well here is the wandering monsters is that they told you, you know, where they're from. It's not just 8 random orcs wandering the fucking hallways and you're like, where the hell they come from? No, you're getting skeletons maybe, but you're also getting things like Afris and 1d4 trolls, right? And it tells you what room they're from. Alam Hairy Arms in bear form from room V4. And if you kill them in wandering encounter form, you know, where you saw them, they're no longer in V4, for example. So that was done well. And then there's sort of generic ones. You get more descriptions here for some generic ones and some other ones too, which I thought was done pretty well. So that was cool, and different ones for each level. Then you got all these sections here. You can write your own notes, which I thought was kind of helpful. Or I actually, what I think it really came down to is that they were just filling up space. You know, that's all it really was. Yeah. Hello, Albert. What's going on? Side effects for overuse. I can see that, you know. And look at this dude. This is a Lion of Mitra. And I thought this is kind of interesting because it looks like the guy from the Conan. And this is all the 70s look, by the way. Late 70s, early 80s look. Everybody looked like this. But it looks like the dude from the Conan the Barbarian movie who swung, I think, the big fucking club or something like that. It looks just like that guy, I thought. Which is interesting because I know that Conan influenced this greatly. But I don't think the movie was out at the time this came out. So, yeah. So it goes into the various stats. And then you got the Sons of Set. And the Sons of Set, I thought it was well done because they were essentially literally sons, and they're deformed through. And so while it says a neutral evil god, this one's chaotic. All the Sons of Set have become chaotic essentially, and they are random features, body types, and modifications. And so you're looking at snake body, lower torso, hydra head, scaly body, insect eyes. These are all like the chaos creatures, which is kind of cool. I like that. I like that because you different abilities too. So if you got a crocodile head, you could bite for an extra 2 to 8 points of damage, right? So they're just monstrosities. They can have different abilities. Some stone, some can shape change, some can do a cone of cold, some have a dragon breath attack. That was kind of cool. Now Verendi, eater of corpses. Imagine that's Janelle who did that one. It's not bad actually. It's not a bad drawing. Again, PJ was an old name. All right, so now we're getting into the history of it. This is kind of what I said before. So Mitra was, killed Set and this and that, and then the tower came back. And then you got this creepy ass village of Mitra's Rest. All right, now let me point something out to you here. This is a 70-page dungeon all set, and we're on page 19 and 20. We haven't even got to the goddamn adventure yet. All right, there's so much backstory to understand the big picture here, which is where it came from. Well done, appreciate that. I like that. There's no big box text to read to the players. It's just for the DM to understand what's going on. This village is pretty much a village dedicated to Set that's above ground, and it's there is a priest of Mitra in there, but he's just old and senile, and they humor him and don't tell him that they're all priests of Set, and his acolytes are actually acolytes of Set in disguise. So that's old Cornelius here. So that was kind of interesting, I thought. Then you got the Shrine of Mitra's Tower, and there's a way down and through. He has one of the artifacts too. There's a Shrine of Mitra's Tower. How does the acolytes not notice an artifact and go to destroy it? Who the hell knows? I mean, certain things you just got to say, I don't understand it, and just let it go because it's old school shit, right? Then you got the map of the village here. Not too big of a village. Now, what's interesting about this place is that anybody who goes there, they never come out. Any merchants or anything like that. It's like from dusk till dawn. You go to that bar and you're going to die because all the vampires are going to kill you. You think somebody would notice over time that anything that goes in there just never fucking comes back? I mean, just it's throwing it out there. It might be something. And how does that fit into a campaign world, right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So yeah, there's a couple people here. At one time, powerful magic user. This drunk Beldar Assad, and he's not exactly a follower, but he's taking advantage of the fact that if you live in this place, you don't age. Last 300 years, nobody's aged here. And Rufo the Ugly, you're just a stupid ass thief who basically does a lot of dirty jobs, yada yada. He has some information. Now here again, we showed you this map before, and how they're connected and whatnot. And there's various connections, as I showed you in those Goodman books, between the levels and the dungeon levels and the tower levels of each set or Mitra's Tower. Very fucking confusing. And just I'm skipping through this because it's like standard bullshit, and you'll read it if you need it. There's nothing that stands out in there. And again, this is just, I honestly think this is not for you. It's just for filling space with lines. There we go. Dungeon level 1. Where did this fucking come from? I don't know. Where did the dungeon just appear? I mean, the whole town was covered, right? So if the entire town was covered, and that means the ground level of the town used to be down here at the base of the towers, okay? How did dungeon level 1, which is at the top of the towers, even come into existence? I don't know. It makes no fucking sense. Who stocked it? I don't know. It's apparently used to be dedicated to Mitra. There's a lot of Mitra shit that these guys, the Set people, came in and desecrated. But how would Mitra have done it when everything was just covered up? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Now the dungeon level is interesting because, like, you look at the map here. It's interesting, but it's confusing as shit because if you look at here, to second level, right? It says right there, what's taking you to second level? I don't know. I don't know which passage goes to level 2. I have no fucking idea. Which stairs are up, which stairs are down. This is to second level. There's an arrow here. I guess that goes down. But universally, the stairs that don't have the ever narrowing thing means stairs going up, right? So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So it's just a confusing thing. And there's a whole good section over here, 26 and 27 to Mitra, that the Set people who've taken over everything over here haven't discovered. How have they not discovered this shit? There's also like some magic items in here that they didn't discover. How do you just not cast detect? You've been there for 300 fucking years. Didn't somebody think to just walk around with a detect magic spell for a while? Like, for a while? He had 300 years to do that shit. How is there still a +1 shield or something or another that's good, dedicated to Mitra? No idea. No fucking idea. I mean, priests, there's no detect secret doors or anything like that. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Then you get into the entry to Mitra's tower, because again, this number 1, 2A here, that's the top of Mitra's tower. Okay, I'll have to scroll up here to explain that again, because again, fucking confusing. A, you see that? Mitra's tower, the top. But there's no way to get in there from level 1. There's no actual entrance to it. Okay, so as you see here, because right here it looks like there is, but there's not. There's not at all. It's just some paladin looking dude saying, you know, you want to come here, you got to be good or else you're going to die. But there's nowhere actually. It's a fake door. It's an illusion of a door. It's not going to let you in. Okay, so then you got some interesting encounters. And this is how I would best describe this. And maybe I'll just go over some of my notes here, because as I'm reading through this, I was taking notes. I said, well, yeah. The first note I did was, that's how you know it's an old school module, if you're putting on glasses to actually read the fucking thing. Another note is they really dive into like the alignment differences here, like good and evil, law and chaos, whatever, or good and chaos, they matter. And the magic items are strictly of a certain alignment. So that some of the more powerful artifact type ones, and they will dominate you and change your alignment. So that's kind of good and bad, I guess, you know, but they force alignment and behavioral changes. I don't like things that force the characters to be something other than they're not. I don't like forced sex change. I don't like forced alignment change. I don't like forced, you know, like, you know, magic sword ego problems. You know, I would rather have an ego battle where the sword just won't work for you, right? You don't get the +1 bonus unless you're doing something aligned with the sword's purpose or something like that. I don't want the sword or the item to make you do the things because it overpowers you. I don't like that. I like more of the conflict and the dispute and the bargaining aspect of, okay. There's a long time. You don't get the adventure at a 60-some pages. Level 1 starts on page 30. So 30 pages of bullshit to get there. That was a big thing. There's no real ecology in this dungeon. All right. There's no real, like, how does it make sense that the ghouls are here, spiders there, the kobolds are over here? Who do the spiders eat? The kobolds. Who do the ghouls eat? The kobolds. How are kobolds over there then? Right? And the giant rats are just chilling, right? Not eaten by anything or anybody. And then Sinistar the Sly. Sinstar is a were rat. This is like the maze of rooms with shit in it to kill and take their stuff. Now, that being said, the rooms are far more interesting and detailed than most rooms in most dungeons that are just designed as, you know, kick the door open, there's 3 ghouls, kill them, take 5 gold pieces each off of them, right? They're much more interesting. They're much more detailed than that. So while the rooms are interesting and each can stand alone as an individual interesting room, you could steal rooms. You can't steal this adventure and transplant it or reskin it, but you could definitely steal an interesting room from the adventure. I think that's an obvious idea. I mean, there's a room where you hit the skeletons, and the skeletons each have 4 hit points, but if you don't do 8 hit points of damage to the skeletons, each time you hit a skeleton not doing 8 hit points of damage, that skeleton will pair off, and now there's another skeleton each with 4 hit points. So that was interesting, because you need to do a max damage to kill a skeleton, and that's controlled by a mirror. So in the room, so the characters have to figure out, why the hell are they doing this? Oh, there's a mirror. Maybe I shattered a mirror. I stopped that effect. Yes, that's the key. So that's just an example of a very interesting room that you could just steal. The ideas for these rooms are amazing, but the way the rooms hang together with the other rooms, they make no fucking sense, right? Again, why wouldn't the ghouls eat the fucking kobolds or the rat man? Right, or just the rats? I mean, ghouls eat anything live, right? So, you know, that's, yeah. And again, this is my last note here, is that it's not, I do legal pads being lawyer, it's not for an inexperienced DM. I would feel like I'd be challenged to run this. I would need to prep my ass off for this thing and understand the whole fucking thing before I ran it. It's not a module that you would pick up at the store at Walden Books back in the day, take it home, read it for half an hour, and run your guys through it. It's not that kind of thing. It's not that kind of thing. It's definitely, you need to invest some serious time into this. So that's that's good, and bad, right? You have to know what you're buying. That's you have to know what you're buying. So let's see, just going through some more here. The rooms are, let's see, though. Where is this? Oh, this is a weird fucking room. There's certain things I circled and wanted to show you guys. I'm not going to go through everything because it's fucking too much, right? But locked in this room center is a small, cute puppy dog. Okay, interesting. Why the fuck a puppy dog there? A hit dice, half hit points 2, 10 feet off the in the cage. Emanating from the cage is a permanent silence 15-foot radius. 2 fighters stand guard each additional compass point around the cage. They're 4th level fighters. And here's a throwback to the OD&D fighting men. They call them fighting men in OD&D, right? They don't call them fighters. So you got 2 fighters, and then it's a fighting men. It's like a carryover, a little fuck up there, The puppy dog is in reality the shape-changed form of Murky, an adult bronze dragon. All right, so they reduced it. Basically, they shrunk it. It was captured after the takeover of the village. One of the clerics recognized that it was a dragon in dog form. The dog form was susceptible to sleep spelling and has been kept so ever since for 300 years. I don't know what the hell that is even about. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why would a dragon go around in dog form as a puppy? It's stupid. It's just dumb. All right. And so it's just a reason to put a puppy in a cage. It makes people say, why the fuck's a puppy in a cage? But everybody wants to save a puppy, so you go save the puppy, and it turns out to be a fucking bronze dragon. And it speaks different languages, blah blah blah. And if you free it, it's going to go on a fucking rampage. It'll probably attack, and so you got the gate sets tower, so you can destroy as much as you can in it. Yeah. And in the northeast corner of the room is a half of a black pyramid at the capstone of the Dark Tower. So let me just show you what the hell they're talking about here, because again, complicated dungeon map. I believe that's over, right here. So that's the capstone to the Dark Tower. That's the top of it. If you could chip through it and maybe get through, who knows? But the dragon is captured in room 33. So it just that's an example of shit that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's interesting, right? But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't hang. Why wouldn't they sacrifice the dragon? Because the whole purpose of you sacrifice things to set to gain more power. You would think that sacrificing an adult bronze dragon is that would gain you immense favor and power with set. It's a good dragon. It's a huge, powerful creature, right? Definitely more juice than sacrificing some harlot or some merchant or something like that. There's something I hate. Here's something I hate in any adventure that I look at is teleports. Random teleports. You walk into this mist, you'll get fire damage, and then you get teleported to a different room. So you get fire damage, and then you're teleported to a different room. So yeah, that's another fuck job. All right, now room. This is dungeon level 2. And you see that this is the Set's Tower down here in the bottom, and Mitra's Tower is on the top. All right. And what I failed to do, guys, is create that video for Joe is going to take a leak now. All right. So I will be right back after Joe takes a leak. Be right back. All right, I'm back. One thing I noticed is that I do my best thinking in the bathroom for some reason when I'm taking a shower, sit down a porcelain throne, take a leak, whatever. But I was just thinking to myself, in addition to the overall story of this dungeon missing, and that affects the ecology of how things interact. So we have the history of it, but the story within itself, what's going on in there on a day-to-day basis, we don't really know, right? I mean, we assume they're all fighting each other all the time, but you never see that. You just see things to kill. But in terms of the story of the dungeon, what you don't have at the beginning of this, not only is the story of it, but the win, right? They never describe for the DM, like, what happens, like what is the goal? What is the outcome of a good group of players going to be? Like, once they get through this thing, like I had to read till the very last encounter in the entire thing to see the lich. And then I saw, okay, if you kill the lich, you win. It's the win button. It's the big final boss. I'm like, okay. So now I see it. But they should have had that laid out at the beginning. They should have done a summary of, if a typical group of good players goes through this, here's probably what's going to happen. If they live, here's some things they might want to do. You as a DM should maybe prepare for. Here's the various factions and groups. Here's what's going on in the dungeon when the PCs aren't there. Here's the dynamics within the dungeons and within these towers. That's what they should have had in there. That's what they should have had at the beginning, just to make it easier. Because they got the whole backstory and history, but then you get into it and you're like, well, what the hell? This makes no fucking sense. And what's the goal? I don't know. No fucking clue. No fucking clue. So that was just the weird part of it. So anyway, that's my critique as I was sitting in there, or as I was standing there taking a leak. And all right, so level 2, goblins. Okay, then you got Mighty Sam, once a frost giant, who, as he lay dying, begged the god Set to save him. He transferred the spirit to a stone statue of humiliating appearance, with the promise that it would become a flesh and blood titan if he delivered Mitra's belt, one of those artifacts, to the evil god. Sam now collects the belts from all travelers he encounters, and then he puts them in a room. And there's a shit ton of belts in there, one of which is a girdle of hill giant strength, cool. One of which is a belt of femininity, masculinity that's just cursed. Cursed in a sense that you keep changing your sexes every 2 to 20 turns, which I gotta say is kind of funny, but would never fly today. Holy crap. One is a belt of variable density. It's just weird. Too complicated. I see all this shit. I see all these numbers. I'm like, it's not in the dungeon. Too fucking complicated. Not happening. And then we get into just, the horrible Hall of the Silent Ball. And it's just a silent ball that rolls and tries to, like, Indiana Jones shit, and run you over and stuff. And then there's some orcs. Why not, right? And then there's an evil magic. It's just, why? And there's a jackal. No, why? Why is this there? How does it make any sense to have this shit there? I don't know. What do they do when the PCs aren't there? I don't know. Not a fucking clue. Doesn't make any sense at all. And that's my, honestly, all the rest of the, here's another stupid ass one. 224. All the warring doors. All right. There's 2 doors that are intelligent. One is lawful good, and one is chaotic evil. They each have the following abilities. They can speak, make a face appear, give off alignment damage as a sword, lock and unlock itself, change the temperature. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. First of all, begging the question first of where did dungeon level 2 even come from? What the hell manifested it into existence? Why the hell are the 2 fucking doors that just sit there to bust balls and just talk to each other? And what is their goal? They're quibbling over the ownership of 1,000 gold piece diamond situated halfway down the hall. It's just stupid. I remember doing this. This is one of the things I do remember when I was playing it. I'm thinking back then, I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking shit ever. Made no goddamn sense. None. Then we're down to level 3. We're getting less and less of the dungeon part. More of the random shit and more of the tower related stuff. So we got, level E and level H for Set and Mitra. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, granted, it's really cool that there's multiple entrances and exits and it's non-linear and all the crazy stuff that, Alexandrian talked about. But it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you get into, finally, half ring, hall eyes, hell eyes, who cares? There's a lich, a succubus in there too. You can fuck with as well. There is a handout. I lied. There is a handout. You can't read it, but there is a handout, I guess. All right. Dungeon level 4. There's a red dragon in there. How the hell did it get there? Oh, I guess maybe it turned into a puppy dog and walked in. And then it just became a red dragon again. How does it eat? How does it hunt? You know how much food a red dragon would need to consume on a daily basis? It has to like turn into a dog or something smaller, go out, hunt, come back every fucking day. It's insane. I mean, this is just the dungeon rooms with random shit. That it's a low level thing and it's high powered, so you want to have a dragon in there just because red dragon, fun. Okay, and then once you get done there past level 4, look at this, another room of sword kill. Jesus Christ, and the zombie rooms. Yeah, so you got some zombies and then you got a red dragon all on the same level, huh? I mean, I'm all in favor of not caring about balance, but it's just stupid. It's just stupid. So moving through here, now we're getting into another map, another copy of the same fucking map. It looks like, with some of the levels that where they connect to the towers and whatnot. Then you get into the White Tower of Mitra. Okay, boring, nothing interesting. Some gnomes. Where the hell did they come from? How do they live? What do they eat? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. More teleportation rooms. Then they get the tower set. Bullshit, until you get to the very top, and then you get to fight the big badass lich. All right, and he has a henchman called Kona the Dissenter. Basically, it's one of sets kids to protect the lich at all costs. The lich's name is Pensuit. Penisset. Who the hell knows? Can't figure it out. Doesn't matter. Powerful lich. There's the lich. It's 21st level cleric. I always thought liches were magic users, but whatever. If I'm gonna make a cleric a lich, who the hell knows? It makes sense that a cleric of Orcus could maybe become a lich, but that's it. So that's like the whole thing. Let's go back to my sort of outline notes because I make it sane. Because I want to do now. I want to do my reviews in the same fashion, essentially, for every adventure, right? The same bullet points I want to touch on, and then I'll just go over my overview. But so that's the whole adventure. It doesn't make sense, hell no. It makes no sense whatsoever. Good adventure backstory, yeah. There's no info dumps. It's for the DM at least. You got a good, so you get a sense of it, where it's from. You get a good strong start. It gives you a sense of immersion. It's not just a hack and slash. But there are factions, but you got to figure out who the hell they are and how to use them. Is it non-linear narrative? Yeah. It's non-linear dungeons, but there's no narrative really whatsoever there. It's just, go through, kill everything, take their stuff until you get to the final boss fight, right? Role-playing, combat, and exploration. No, not a lot of role-playing at all, really. A lot of combat and exploring, though. Yeah, just dungeon exploring. Sense of urgency, not really. There's no ticking clock that you got to do this before something happens, right? There's no plot hooks to get the PCs involved. There's no personal stakes to the PCs. Just ways for all classes to shine, because you're in combat, right? So yeah, best suited for a one shot, or can you fit it into a campaign? I would say this is like a long one shot. This is just you roll up some random 8th level characters or whatever, 10th level characters, and you just jump in there and kick some ass. Any subplots or twists? Not really. The ecology makes no sense. Does it have a good atmosphere? Other than that, somebody mentioned it's Egyptian, or that sort of thing. There's no real good atmosphere, and strong ending. It's kind of disappointing, because you kill the lich, and look, here's what happens at the end. If the lich is killed, all the undead in the entire dungeon discorporate. All monsters in the Dark Tower itself will either die or stop functioning. Sons of Set accepted. All persons whose lives have been unnaturally prolonged by the presence of the Dark Tower will begin to age at the rate of 10 years per turn, unless a potion of longevity is administered simultaneously with a cure disease spell. Who the hell would know that in advance anyway? The dungeon itself will crumble in 12 turns after the death of the lich, starting with the 4th level and working up at the rate of 1 level or 6 turns, totally collapsing. Only the 2 towers will remain standing with the top. So all the dungeons but the towers themselves stay. The only way out of the Dark Tower, once the dungeon caves in, is a pass wall through the roof. So if you had a pass wall spell, you could have hit the dungeon as set, I guess, too, at the beginning. So then again, considering history of dungeon, it won't be long before digging starts again. But, hopefully I had a good time, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I would have. So that's it. Now, let me just check in with you guys, see what y'all are saying here. Where are you at? Geez, a lot of comments. I'm still scrolling up here to find them. Wow. All right, here we are. All right. The ring heals you but consumes all the money in your pockets. How odd. Yeah, exactly. You're in a dungeon, devil sons of set in my head, really. You do not swing the hammer. The dumb guy swings the hammer. He was chief of security and wielded a sword. Okay, you're an axe. Sons of set are what the minions set that show in 2E Planescape. Oh, is it? Okay. I never did the real. I bought the Planescape. It was one of the big regrets of my life because once I opened it up, because again, shrink wrap, opened it up, got it home. I'm like, this is stupid. Because I thought it was going to be a manual planes for 2E, but it was just stupid. So we went back to the 1E manual of planes. All right, let's see. Another creative borrowing, theft of ideas, Guar. All right, here's the lore. Yeah, Jaquays was a video game designer. Did a lot of stuff for Doom. Doom 2, I think, some levels for Doom 2 and other video games as well. There's alignments for NPCs. They're a quick cheat, blah, blah, blah. All right, we're up to 19 still. 19 still watching this. That's cool. I like alignments so a player can shift it based on their in-game actions. Yeah, you just scale. Just act a certain way, and if there's a reason to change the way you act, make sure there's a decent, good reason. Let's see. Walden books. Yeah, I did. That's where I bought all my shit. Walden books. We'd sit in the corner where the rack was, and after buying the first Bad Adventure, the Forest Oracle, we were like, me and my brother were like, we're gonna sit here. Because before hidden cameras, we made sure that those mirrors they had in corners they couldn't see us. We got a blind spot, and we'd slit open the top of every one of the plastic modules and open them up, take them out, and read it to see which one we wanted to read, and then we'd stick them back in, and then get one we wanted. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Shadow and Sun. I looked at it and said it would be easier to just make it my own Dark Tower than make sense of the disjointed mess. Exactly. The Dark Tower is C+. It's good but rough. Yeah, that's maybe generous. Adult Bronze Dragon. It's a good dragon. Metallics are good aligner, highly intelligent. Yeah, it's just dumb. Nice live review. Thank you. I will annihilate Matt Jackson. My other rivals. I've already killed Matt Jackson. Motherfucker, he's gonna maybe come to Sharakan. He owes me a fucking dinner. And I owe Eric a dinner because he beat me to 5,000. Yeah. And yeah, elevator. It must have been when I was taking a piss. Yeah, elevator music definitely. I need something. You got to create a video or something. Your critiques of Dark Power. We should probably be someone charitable. This is one of the first large dungeons ever published. Exactly. Yeah, you got to give it some charity. But it broke the mold of what was going on then. But it just was a fucking mess, man. Let's see. Liv Tyler show. Wish I could find the module again. You could probably buy it on eBay or something. Why does the Lich want all the random shit? Exactly. Some of the stuff. Why do rats collect gold? Who the hell knows, right? Yeah, everything got frozen in time. It made no sense. Dragons should eat a lot. If there was only a spell that could feed someone once per day, like a magic berry. What dragon? What a fierce predator is going to become a vegetarian, only eating one berry a day? Though it's a good point, right? But why would a fierce predator, an apex predator, want to sit there like a house cat eating one berry a day? You want to be a predator. You want to be out there like whooping ass, taking names, killing shit, and adding to your horde, right? That's the whole goal. You want to kill shit and take their stuff to add to your horde. So although you can survive, why would you want to? It wouldn't. That's the thing that doesn't make sense. I agree, Eric. The problem with super large and large dungeons, they make little sense and have interaction problems. I absolutely agree. That's why I think the Village of Hamlet and the Moat House is a fantastic adventure, whereas the Temple of Elemental Evil sucks balls. Although I loved it back in the day and I've played it and run it a few times, it makes no sense. Yeah. You need to add a self-destruct for these towers to speed up the party. Yeah, some ticking time bomb would be interesting. Why are they so big? What's the purpose for the construction? There is no purpose. None of it made sense. Yeah. So anyway, back to sort of the formatted review here, guys. Were there any unique game mechanics? There's some unique magic items that created some weird mechanics. But other than that, not really. AD&D was brand damn new, so they were just making it up as they went along. I think really. The encounters memorable, or weird. Memorable, I guess that makes them memorable. Different types, yeah. Tactical depth, I think you could say that because there's a lot of strange shit you have to deal with, but. Are the monsters well balanced and interesting? Not balanced, not on the same level. Some new monsters. There was like a metallic spider creating metallic spider webs. That was kind of cool. That was interesting. Again, the rooms themselves can stand on their own as interesting things that you can just take and strip. But the whole thing as a whole, no, it's terrible. And the monsters intelligent. Some of them are. Do the monsters fit well into the setting and story, or do they feel randomly placed? A lot of them just feel randomly placed, aka the Red Dragon. Do wandering encounters make sense? Yeah, they actually do. They actually do make some sense here, in the sense that, remember I was saying they draw from some of the rooms, and if you kill them, they're not in that room anymore. So yeah, that made it make sense. The NPCs, most of them were in the town that you're going to encounter. So were they memorable and meaningful? Yeah, they added flavor because they're all evil. It's a secretive evil town, right? Can they evolve? Do they evolve? No, there's no evolution. It's, shopping. There's no stuff to buy. There's no price list. Where are you going to sell your shit? That's the other thing too. How are you going to restock? You can't go back to the town; they'll kill you. So what are you going to do to restock here? Where are you going to buy and sell stuff? Where are you going to buy new scrolls from people? None. The local economy made no sense because they kill the merchants that come through. So nobody merchants eventually would ever come through, and some, whatever area this thing existed in would come and investigate whatever country it exists in, right? The villain, you know who the villain is until the end. He doesn't make sense what he's doing. He's not morally ambiguous because he's a fucking lich. Does he grow and evolve? No, he's a fucking lich. Is he a mystery? Yeah, until the very last room, you don't know who the hell he is. They had no escape routes, and he had one minion. The guy who comes, he's Set's son, right? That's it, though. That's all you really had. Let's see. Chances to explore. Was it a dynamic environment? No, it didn't change. There was no mysterious places. No, there's a lot of traps, and you want to call environmental hazards traps. There's some secret areas with some good loot, but why the secret areas existed, why they weren't discovered after 300 fucking years, I don't know. Not really a lot of puzzles or riddles. Shit tons of traps. The mystery is how the hell to figure out this dungeon. That's the biggest mystery at all. That was honestly the biggest mystery. Was there player agency? Was this a linear or non-linear thing? Yeah, you could always go in and come out. It wasn't a railroad in that sense. Can you do your own thing without breaking the adventure? Yeah, you just leave, right? And then the adventure is over, right? Do their choices matter? There's no meaningful choices to make. It's a kill dungeon. You go in and kill shit and you leave, right? That's it. That's all it was. Meaningful consequences for ignoring plot hooks. There weren't really any plot hooks other than just go in there and kill stuff. I don't know of any plot hooks. It was just there. I bought it, therefore we're going to play it. That's the plot hook. Just like every other old module we all bought back in the day. The plot hook is I bought this thing, we're playing it. You want to go somewhere else? Fuck you. Go buy a different module. All right? That's the plot hook. I'm the DM and I spent $9 on this fucking thing. There's your plot hook, bitch. We're playing it. Role playing, not a whole lot of role playing opportunities. Dealing with the factions or dealing with the minions of the Lions of Set, Lions of Mitra, the Sons of Set. Maybe some role playing there, but meaningful, not necessarily. I don't think. Any subplots or side content? No. I mean, there are factions and rivals and whatnot, but there's no individual quests. Anything like that for PCs, unless you're like a cleric or a paladin of Set or Mitra, in which case, you could change the names of these gods around if you wanted to, obviously, to fit your own campaign setting and make it fit better. But that's just kind of weird, I think. Is there any downtime activities or in-game economies to engage with? No. In fact, I remember jumping into this late in the game. They were already a couple levels in when I did this as a player, and they kept going back to the Temple of Mitra, the tower, the lowest levels of the Tower of Mitra, to rest and recover, then head back out. That was their thing. And so, I mean, where are you keeping all your shit? Where are you keeping all your loot? What are you doing with all this stuff? Where are you selling it? Where are you buying spells? It didn't make any sense. Can you solve combat stuff without combat? Not really. Maybe some cases you can negotiate, but most of the stuff's there to kill or be killed. That's pretty much it. Not a lot of investigation and mysteries. Some social encounters. Was the loot and rewards that have good magic items? Yeah, but a lot of them were fuck you magic items too. They're interesting, but a lot of fuck you-isms in there, right? New and unique, definitely. Unique non-magic items, not so much. Golden loot, there wasn't like golden brazier or blah 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 or anything like that. They made sense, they're meaningful and well placed, but they were certainly Monty Hall. I mean, the level of stuff you're going to get out of this is Monty Hall level adventures. Was the end all right? So the ending, was the ending meaningful? You killed the bad guy. There's no plot twist. There's no multiple endings. Can it lead to more adventures other than that one little blurb there? Is that not be long before digging starts again? But what are they going to find? The tower entrances, and then you go into the towers that you looted. What's left? The Sons of Set and some. Why? Although Goodman Games did put out Volume 3 here with further adventures, right? And their third volume there. So I don't know. I didn't read it because I don't like Goodman's style of adventure writing. What kind of shit is people put out, so I didn't even look at it. So I whatever. Overall rating, levels, right? I mean, the introduction, the lore behind it, what happened, the first 20, 30 pages were excellent. I give that a B. For its time, I give this probably an A minus. Because it broke the mold in a lot of ways, and I see why it made the list, right? And a lot of people look at it as a good adventure. All right, it's a matter of opinion, I guess. But overall rating now, right now, right, C minus. C minus. I would never run this fucking thing. I would never run it. It makes no sense. It breaks my brain to figure it out. It's too fucking confusing, even with the guides to who gets to what levels. None of it internally makes any sense. If the players aren't able to figure out the story of the dungeon and what's going on and interact in a meaningful way, if the players aren't able to figure out the ecology of the dungeon and how it all hangs together, if the players aren't able to understand all that and then make intelligent decisions within it, it becomes a kick door down, kill a thing, take stuff until the end. And that's what this is, honestly. It had a great setup. It had some good stuff in there at the beginning, and then it just stumbled and failed. I think, honestly, it just stumbled and failed. It was just not good. I would never run it. I guess that's the ultimate judgment, right? Would I run this thing? No, I wouldn't run this fucking thing ever as an adventure for my group. Yeah. So Hamlet and Temple are both kind of boring. Hamlet was all right, and then I did the review. Hamlet and Moat House, that was pretty good. But the Temple is just. I have a tendency to see dragons, at least ancient and beyond, trappings of light. Young ones need to grow and rely on predation. Maybe. Yeah. Joe is giving this an F. C minus. Yeah, C minus. Let's see. I spent $9 on a module. Yeah, no shit. Back in the day, right? That's all. I think this is like $5.50. What the hell's the price? $5.50. Look at that. Look at that price, huh? Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought I was slow spying the screen here. The Goodman Games does expand things quite a bit. Maybe I'll run it in CNC. I would buy the Goodman Games version because I'm sure their conversion to 5e made more sense and it had a better layout, I would imagine. And it probably was made more clear for the DM. It probably made more helpful. I didn't review it, so I didn't review their version for 5e because I'll never run it. But C, not the worst. Close to the grade. Yeah. A C minus. That's pretty much it, I think. Jump down. You're talking about Temple? No, not Temple. We're talking about Dark Tower by the old Judges Guild. So yeah, so I give it a C minus, guys. Again, I didn't spend as much time on the individual rooms because they didn't make a lot of sense. Other than to say that some are interesting and can be stolen wholesale and dropped into something else. That's pretty much all I can say about it. Pretty much all I can say about it. So we got 21 people here still, though. 1 from Facebook and 20 from YouTube. So yay for that. Totally yay for that. Appreciate you all. So what are you guys thinking about? Biggest problem is layout. Yeah, the Temple's layout made no sense. It just didn't. Dumb. The layout, the maps, the dungeon itself, how do they interact? Made no sense. How do they eat? Who do they eat? Where do they go for food? There needs to be various entrances and exits for each of the elemental temples that go out into the lands around and gather food. It'd make more sense if the various temples were in different locations, and then they would combat each other from overground or underground. But the temples were in different ones. Yeah, maybe the fire and the mountains were near a volcano. You had the water one near a river or stream, much like the 5e one did. That made a lot more sense, having the 4 various temples in different locations, more suited to their element. Right, that makes more sense. Yeah, I think Jaquays did help with the 5e conversion. I would hope that it made more sense in there. Honestly, I would hope it did make more sense. Word of the day, Liv Tyler. I missed the whole Liv Tyler conversation. I was glossing over it to get to the stuff that related to this, but why not? Word of the day for this is Liv Tyler. I'll take your word for it. Shouldn't it be Tyler? All right, Liv Tyler, whatever. I dropped into Eric's thing on Friday night, the old random party generator thing. I was on my way to go out to my brother, and I had about a little bit of time to kill, so I dropped in for about an hour and was talking about things. I don't know whoever saw it, because I didn't also have it on my channel. I just, I didn't broadcast. I think he had enough. I have so many different slots you could also simulcast on. There wasn't enough for me to put it on mine, but it was interesting because Friday after work, I was... Tim Shorts has been taunting me with these fucking dice, first of all, forever, because they are silicone dice, and they're they're not rubber, but they kind of bounce. They bounce and they're not loud and they're kind of interesting. Hard to see. Everybody complains about the hard to view it. You could have got the red with the black. I got the black with the red lettering. But they're cool and interesting. But anyway, I stopped at a game store near where I work, which I used to run a game at for a while. And the owner was there, and I said to him, what's going on? Long time no see. And I asked if the game I had started years ago was still ongoing. And it was like 5 years later. One of the guys who was the player in it just kept going with the group. And, people come and go in the group, but it's the essence of that game, that campaign. It's a 5e1, and it's still going. He just took over the group and kept the campaign going. He's still running it there on Wednesday. So I thought that was kind of cool. Little legacy thing. But I asked him how the game is selling, a new 5.5, and he says it's selling. In the meantime, he has a whole lot of books back on the shelf, all the old modules, the adventures from 5e. He even had the Fandelver box set there, so it's like it's not really selling that well, I don't think. People have seen, he said most of them are converted. The games they're running in the store, they're converted over to 5.5. But he didn't seem like it was a big thing. And we talked about the VTT, and we both agreed that it's going to hurt his business. Then I decided, what the hell? There's 2 other game stores within a reasonable driving distance. On Friday night, I took a drive. I went to another one that's closest to me because I wanted to sort of gauge, because I do want to run my own RPGs eventually, both online, showing you guys I want to run it in person at a game store. So I wanted to gauge the one closest to me as the location. I remembered it being kind of tight and cramped and loud. I wanted to see if my memory of that was accurate, and it was tight, cramped, and loud. And I was looking around. There wasn't a fucking D&D book to be found anywhere, 5e or otherwise. I was like, everything was Warhammer. There were even some comic books. There was no minis. There was no dice except for one little section, buy some random dice, but no D&D. I said to the kid there, I said, what's going on? There's no D&D. No, people weren't buying it after, COVID and everything. People just stopped buying the books. They didn't come in for it anymore. They weren't running games anymore. Everybody started either playing in somebody's house after COVID or playing online. As they did during COVID, they continued with that. And so there was a game store doesn't even have D&D shit anymore. I was like, holy shit. And it was loud, so I'm definitely not going to play a game there. The first place I went to, he still has a list. They have people sign up looking for GM kind of a thing. So I said, well, keep that in mind. I may be able to do that, run the game down there. The third place that I went to was a huge game store north of me. And so I started south of where I lived, and kind of where I live, and north of where I live was the third one. It's a huge game store. Has the most everything. They have all the D&D books and all that shit. Pathfinder. They have everything, and shit tons of tables. It's huge. Walked in there on a Friday night, and everybody's playing some fucking card game, Magic or whatever the fuck, right? That's it. They were just playing card games. And I said to the guy at the desk, I said, no D&D? He goes, no, not Friday nights. Friday's the big night of the week because you're off the next day. You can stay late. You can play D&D. There's one group playing D&D in the corner. It was kids, right? One guy running the game for a bunch of kids. So I'm like, oh, shit, that's it. So I walked over there to see it. The kids looked at me because I was like, I just wanted to stay in there to, to see what they're doing. And but they all kids are like, well, why is this an adult standing there looking at us? I'm sorry, I just, like to play D&D. How's it going? So, oh, we're almost dead. And, the kids got excited once they knew who the hell I was, just, yeah, we almost died. And it was kind of cool to see the kids' excitement and energy, And the DM was a weirdo nerd kind of guy running the game, but he had like zero charisma. You could tell. So the kids were just enjoying playing the game. You could tell it wasn't a good game. But anyway, talking to the guy at the desk, I said, "What's going on? How's the 5.5 going?" He says, "Oh, it's good," with a high pitched voice, which you always know they're lying through their teeth. Whenever somebody talks with a high pitched voice, either their underwear too tight or there's lying through their teeth, right? So I could tell he's just full of shit. It just, this is the place where I talked about before. We want to run a game there. We advertised it on a Discord server. Before the last ShireCon, I put up an advertisement for my game. I was doing a one shot, want to play test something, going to run at a con. Any takers? It's an old school style game, blah, blah, blah. No takers. This is not a game store that would support old school style stuff. It's a game store where they have drag queen D&D night. All right. It's not conducive although it's the biggest one around, has probably the most player base I could draw from. It's not going to be a place conducive to an old school style game. All right, I don't care about drag queen D&D, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm just saying, it's not a place that I'm going to find more of my tribe. You know what I mean? That would appreciate my style of running a game and my personality as a DM and all the other kind of stuff I put in there. As I told the guy in the first store where I actually ran a game years ago, I said, listen, man, it's going to be my own game, my own setting. And I said, I don't know how to say this politely, but it's not going to be one for the weak at heart. Anybody who's triggered by certain things won't fit into the game, so we have to filter that out, because I'm not going to have harsh stuff in there, but on purpose. But I'm not going to shy from having harsh stuff in there of all the worst things you could imagine, right? I'm not going to intentionally pull a Raji and put everything bad and horrible and weird and crazy and creepy and evil in the game. But shit happens, so you got to be prepared for it. So if there's any sort of trigger word warning people, they're not going to be good for this game. It's going to be a bunch of fucking mature adults who can handle life, basically. So anyway, we'll have to see. I'm a year and a half out from that anyway, but I would imagine I'd probably be running this game after work at the place near where I work. Makes more sense to do it there, I think. Either that or I advertise for like a local group in my town at the library or something and you try to get something rolling there. But in my experience doing that a couple of times, it takes a lot to get a group going. There needs to be a market for it, essentially, and you got to build it organically over a long period of time. And I'm just looking to walk in and grab a group rather than build an organic group and filter out people and get the good ones. I don't want to be running a game for a year and a half in order to find a good group that I can run the game I want to run a year and a half later. If that makes any sense. So yeah. Let's see. So let me see what you guys are saying here. We'll back to Liv Tyler. Have you ever said which D&D version is your conclusive favorite? It's hard. I think nostalgia say gay D&D, it's a goddamn disaster. 5e has the best mechanics and organization, but too pussified. My house rule 2e is pretty good, I think. I like that. But the house rule is what got me thinking, so many fucking house rules. I just write your own game. Okay, son of a bitch, I will. So it's, AD&D for, nostalgia purposes, I guess. In terms of a retro clone, if I had to pick a retro clone to run full time, I'd probably go with Swords and Wizardry Complete, because it cleaves closer to AD&D. But I would house rule the living shit out of it so that you're not just a third level thief has these skills. I would make it so you can play with it, right? So I would just apply my second edition house rules to Swords and Wizardry Complete and make that fit. So that's pretty much what I think I would do. Currently writing the Tower of Caliban for Emperor's Choice Games for the Ottoman Blade. Oh, cool, man. Came in late, but I saw some of it. All right. I'm done with Wizards. Not another dime. Agreed. Not a dime. And that's what's happening, I think, No orcs, no coins. Yes. The Hungarian D20 Society gets my money these days. Okay, then. I hear 4E's making a comeback. Where? With who? I mean, Christ. I always call 4E a living abortion. Orcs and half-orcs and Drow. Getting eliminated is the latest in a long series of offenses. Amongst offenses, agreed. Hate that they want to ruin magic on Fridays. Run. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah. I understand deleting as a race or giving characters abilities, and selectively deleting stuff is wrong. I agree. Fridays is prime tabletop night. Hey, got a cardboard crap. Yeah, that cardboard crap out of there. I agree. Unless there's a story behind. Never get into the cardboard crack. I didn't either. I never did the magic. I always hated Magic the Gathering because in my eyes, Magic destroyed people who would normally play D&D. They just so co-opted them. And it's the tail end of second edition. They were just running out of steam and going broke. And Magic comes along, and not only Magic, but the fuck was that Vampire the Masquerade shit? Next thing you know, people are doing, because girls played Vampire the Masquerade and boys played D&D. So anybody who was a boy wanted to play Vampire because you might get laid. That's all it was. That was the entire attraction for Vampire the Masquerade. It's goth chicks dressing up hot, and you might be able to get laid because you played somebody cool. And also you had all that Interview with a Vampire was out and all that kind of shit, right? So that was kind of the allure there. But Magic the Gathering came on the scene and fucking crushed a lot of the player base for D&D. And I didn't understand it because they're so different. They're so fucking different. But I always blamed them for. I blamed Magic the Gathering for crushing D&D, and then I realized that it gave Wizards of the Coast all the money to buy D&D and save it, so I really can't hold a grudge, Let's see. You're not there to troll. You're there to. Yeah, I'm not there to troll or traumatize, but I'm not exactly. Well said, Chad. Shit's gonna happen. Bad stuff's gonna happen, right? So yeah. I've ever tried CNC. I have all the CNC stuff. I went on a big buying binge over COVID because I really like the troll guys. And so I had money, so I kept backing everything they put out for Kickstarters. I have a shit ton of it. But CNC, what I don't like about it is the thing they praise the most is that siege engine thing. I cannot stand it. It goes against the way I think about how skill systems should be. I just don't like the siege engine. So if you strip out the siege engine, yeah, it'd be a good game. But it's kind of integrated into it all. You have to change it around. You have to change the saving throw system and all that kind of shit. Develop a skill system then for even thief abilities and whatnot. So it would take too much work. So I would just go to Swords and Wizardry Complete, honestly. That's all. Don't like, I mean, BX, if you're going to do BX, you might as well just do fucking Old School Essentials because it's a better version, right? It's the ultimate great version of BX, but it's too minimal for me. 3.35 AD&D++. I did 3.0. I didn't do 3.5 because why buy 3.5? I got the 3.0 books and it kind of worked. So we did 3.0, and 3.0 was all right. It just got too crunchy, we got too crunchy. That's shout out. So we got Joe the Shopper to buy the bookcases. Yeah. This is just a small taste of I showed you guys some of it before. A small taste of the books in my room here. Back when I worked at a local game store, the card kids were the bane of my existence, but that bunch is the main D&D customer base. Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's like D&D is a secondary thing for them, but they do buy some D&D shit, right? They do play it sometimes. I have to make up a group. I have to find enough people to make a group up, essentially, is what it would come down to. I don't know how or where I'm going to find them, but someday, somewhere, I'll have to find them. It might be an organic thing where I reach out over a period of time and put them together or something, but if I could go to that first game store and he has a list of people who are interested, like I did last time, I had a great group there. I really did. They all moved away, unfortunately. But they were a great group of kids because they were in their young 20s. I was in my ancient late 40s at the time, but they were a great group of kids and smart, played well, 5e, and I was learning 5e, so they bared with me as I learned the game system, and one of them told me later on, and that person works at Wizards of the Coast now, said I've been playing with tons of DMs, and you're the best DM I ever had still to this day. And this is years after they went to go work for Wizards of the Coast, which I think is an ultimate compliment. So that was one of the best compliments. Yeah. So, all right, you're putting together not in person, Greg. I'm putting together a group for about a year and a half to test in person games, and it's just going to be thinking about how to get them all together. But yeah, I'm going to do it. So guys, any suggestions on what modules or adventures to do for the next Sunday? I was thinking about Red Handed Doom because I really enjoyed that. I ran it. It was a fun adventure, and I think I might do that one. But unless you guys can throw out some other things, other ideas, I think I'm going to do Red Handed Doom. I have it in print, and I have the PDF here, so I can show you a lot of stuff for it. And I think that'd be cool. But put comments in the comment section, guys. Please like and subscribe to this in the comment section. Liv Tyler, for whatever the hell reason, is the word of the phrase or the nouns of the day to comment for the algorithm. But also put in there what you want to see me start reviewing. Otherwise, I think it's going to be Red Handed Doom. All right. So anyway, it's about coming up at 3 o'clock here. So it's been almost 2 hours, a little shorter than the last couple, but a little cold still going, as you guys could tell. So my voice is kind of going here. So I think I'm going to drop out of this, but thank you very much, everybody, for all your time listening to me ramble a lot. And yeah, let me know what you think. Anybody who's done it, read it or run it, if you disagree with my C- rating for this, let me know. Okay, so yeah, you had the module Red Handed. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. So Radiant Citadel by Wizards of the Coast. Which one was that? Greg's just trying to get me to go on to a fucking rant about the bullshit retarded crap they put out now. Reading that was great. That would require me to actually buy the thing. Maybe I'm sure I could access a PDF. The PDF fair could deliver it to my hard drive, but God, Radiant Citadel, Jesus Christ. No, let me think about it. Maybe I'll do a rant, but let me think about Radiant Citadel. But anyway, let me think. Downright cruel. See, I know he's trying to do. He's setting me up, bitch. Oh man. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it. Share it around. Subscribe if you haven't already. More videos coming out this week. Probably starting like Wednesday, because Tim's game, his final game of his campaign, is tomorrow night. So watch that. We're going to be live streaming that starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. And my final game of my 2E, after 2 years of running it, is going to be Tuesday night. So I'm putting the time in to get that ready, and going to be playing in Tim's game tomorrow night. So I would expect me to start seeing those regular videos from me again starting Wednesday, guys. So a little pause of a couple of days, and then Wednesday we'll get back into doing the the video of the day kind of thing for a while until I get a little burnout again. I'll take a pause and I'm back to the video day thing again. So starting Wednesday, okay? But thank you very much. I appreciate it, everybody. Everybody, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye, everyone. Randy, you're eating, damn it. Using a communist dystopia created by extensive mind-reading magics. Jesus Christ. The rainbow-flavored module. C- is fair for the module. It's middling at best. All right, I think all the comments. Stop commenting so I can leave. God damn it. All right.